Senator Al Franken recently proposed a bill that would eliminate tax breaks pharmaceutical companies receive for ads marketed directly to consumers. The goal of the bill is to lower drug costs by limiting the marketing of name brand medicines that cost significantly more than generic drugs. So the name of the bill is called the Protecting Americans from Drug Marketing Act, and it was proposed last Thursday on the Senate floor. According to Al Franken, he says, quote, "As it stands now, prescription drug companies have been spending billions of advertising dollars trying to encourage Americans to buy the most expensive drugs, even when cheaper, equally effective drugs are on the market. My bill would end tax breaks that encourage brand name drug advertising, and I'm going to be fighting to get it passed into law. This is just a common sense measure to help cut down healthcare costs." So according to different statistics, drug companies have put about $3.6 billion on direct-to-consumer advertising during the first half of 2015, which is up from $3.2 billion in the same period in 2014. So according to Franken, he's basically saying that drug companies need to put more money on actually developing medicines as opposed to what he refers to as marketing schemes.
And you know, I love how he uses the word protecting Americans in that bill. I think that in itself is a little indicative of how he feels about that. And I feel the same way. And you know, just like everything else, just like shoes, clothes, you know, everything else, humans will always go for the name brand stuff, just assuming that it works better or it's better quality. But that's clearly not the case with medicines. And if it's cheaper, it's like you kind of give people this feeling that's like, it's either you go with the name brand, the big stuff that you see the nice fancy commercial with that woman running through a field on TV, or nothing at all. You know, it's like, oh, well, if I'm getting the generic stuff, then it's kind of the second-rate thing, but that's not the case.
Well, I also have, I mean, I'm a little bit mixed in terms of what I feel about advertising in general. I mean, I personally don't think that drug companies should be marketing directly to consumers at all, but I do think that this is a really nice compromise because there's been a lot of moves on behalf of lawmakers, or as a matter of fact, the American Medical Association trying to put a ban on advertising altogether, or at least a moratorium while we're trying to discover what side effects there have been in drugs. But so since 1997, the Federal Food and Drug Administration revised guidelines to permit drug makers to use broadcast advertising, and that's why since that time we've just seen such an influx in these kind of in these kind of ads.
Yeah, and you can't watch TV for more than 5 minutes without seeing an ad that's like, do you have a headache? Do you sneeze sometimes? Do you blink too much? It's like every little thing, they're going to find some reason that you need to go out and buy some medicine and convince you that there's something wrong with you. And I'm not saying, you know, that, you know, they're lying and people don't actually have things wrong with them. They do, but like a lot of the time it's like you're quicker to go out and buy that prescription and go see a doctor if you might not have to because of this stuff being shoved down your throat.
Exactly, and it puts doctors in an uncomfortable position because they're basically feeling like, well, if I don't write this prescription, then my patient is going to go somewhere else. So they're put in a really uncomfortable place as well. I mean, and of course, it's important for certain drug makers to at least let you know what the risks or the side effects are. You know, on these commercials where they're like, side effects include blah, 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 and they give you this laundry list. That's important, and yet at the same time, if you have a commercial where people are kind of running through fields and feeling really happy and, you know, it kind of, yeah, it's very misleading. But as a matter of fact, a spokeswoman for the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America had something to say in regards to this. And she says, quote, "Proposals to eliminate the tax deductibility of direct-to-consumer advertising ignore the value of informing patients about their health care and treatment options. An unintended consequence of eliminating the tax deduction may be fewer patients seeking medical care for chronic conditions that could be managed earlier and more cost-effectively." So this is not an argument that I think is going to go away anytime soon. We'll see how people respond to the bill that was proposed last Thursday, but in the meantime, we'll see if it still pays to advertise.